Coastal Cape 401 here at the LollaPawRoooza Festival at Tiverton Dog Park at the R.F. Jones Memorial Dog Park today. So we're taking a look around here, seeing what's going on. There's all this good stuff going on, so let us take a look.
Yeah. The exercise.
But this is absolutely wonderful. Yes, it is.
What's going on?
Hi, baby. So we're here with Melissa Quinlan, and she has been instrumental in getting the dog park started. So I just wanted to talk to her for a little bit, and I just wanted to ask you, so how long did it take to get the dog park started?
Well, we actually were just getting rolling right before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit, and we had to put brakes on everything. So what should have taken about 8 months took about 2 years and 8 months.
That's a long time.
It was a long time. It started way before. It was a grassroots effort way back, but we were just able to get it started a couple of years ago.
Excellent. And how many people would you say are on the committee, approximately?
We had about 10 people.
Great.
And then we have a bunch of volunteers, about 10 to 15 volunteers that we have on call for when we need them to come and help out at the park. And they're wonderful.
Excellent. And how many people do you think are going to be able to enjoy the park? Any idea?
Oh my goodness. You know, it has been so busy that it's almost impossible to figure out. I will say by the amount of poop bags that we have to keep reordering, it's a lot.
That's a good indicator.
Yeah, I think it's a good indicator.
Yeah, great.
So yeah, I would say, you know, in a week we probably see a good 70 to 75 people.
Excellent.
In and out. A lot of regulars, which is great. Love it.
Excellent. And what are the hours?
Sun up to sundown.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And are there any rules that people need to follow? Anything other than your normal dog park rules that you can think of?
Yes, well the big one is don't bring any food into the park, as it makes dogs reactive and can start a fight that you don't want to have happen over
good
a dog
point.
treat or a hot dog or anything like that. That's the big one. And just clean up after your dog.
Yeah, that's a big one too.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Keeps it safe and healthy for everybody.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, thank you for talking to me today. We're going to take another little walk around and talk to a couple of other people.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
What am I supposed to do? Just practice?
So now we're here with Hannah from DeSo K-9, and she's going to be doing a demonstration of some dog training. We're just warming up, and we'll see what's going to happen.
So I'm here today to put on a little presentation for you guys and talk about some dog training. So here with me today are my two personal dogs, Murphy and Scamp. Now this is our first time doing a show like this, but we are very excited to be here today and to have been given this opportunity. So we want to keep this fun, we want to keep this engaging, but most of all we want to keep this educational, right? So we want everybody to leave this experience hopefully having learned something. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. Let's start off with one of the big ones. One of the first things that almost every client asks for is an off-leash recall. So raise your hand if you would like to have an off-leash dog. Yeah, awesome. So let's talk about why it's important to teach your dog a recall. So first of all, it's fun, right? It's fun to have an off-leash dog. No, but seriously, for safety, right? The number one reason that you want to teach your dog a recall just want to catch them, get them back in the car, the house, wherever it was that you were trying to go to. So, imagine if, I'm sorry, please ignore him. So now imagine if your dog accidentally gets out of the house, and instead of you having to chase them down the street, all you had to do was pop your head out the door and say, "Here." Yes.
Nice.
Oh, he's coming in hot. He's coming. Right, so that's your problem solved, right? Nobody had to go running down the street. So now I want you guys to notice how I was talking to you guys, engaging with you guys, and I, for a reason, had my dogs wandering off and exploring the dog park. They were doing their own thing. But notice how when they heard their recall, they immediately stopped what they were doing and came running over to me. Now, why is that? So what if I told you that the difference between DeSo K-9 Training and others is that we create good listeners and good habits? So what do I mean by good listeners, right? So let me give you guys an example of that. Murphy, here. Yes. Yes. Look. Yes. Push. Yes. Skip, come here. Sit. Hang on, I forgot Skip's not a fan of the wood chips. Come on, get up here. Sit. Yeah. Down. Yes. Awesome. So, notice how there was no guessing game, right? So they each knew the word that I said and the action associated with it, right? So that's the difference between a dog who actually knows the word that you said versus a dog that just knows that you probably want X, Y, or Z, right? So what do I mean by that? So typically you see this a lot with dogs who know both sit and paw, right? Where you ask the dog for a sit, they sit, and then they offer you a paw that you didn't ask for, right? So why do they do that? So typically they do that because when they offered you that paw that you didn't ask for, they're adorable, right? And you give them a treat for being cute. But you never asked for that paw, right? So here at DeSo K-9 Training, we have a little catchphrase that you will hear often if you decide to work with us. And that is, if Simon didn't say, then Simon doesn't pay. So think of the game Simon Says when you were a kid, right? So if you listen and you do the correct thing, then you win the game. But if you don't listen and you do the wrong thing, then you lose the game. So because dogs are a lot like children, it's a great analogy for them. So we want you to think of training as a fun game between you and your dog. So how many of you noticed that when my dogs did what I asked of them, I marked it with the word yes? Did anybody catch that? A couple of you? All right, awesome. So why do we do that, right? So that's called our marking method, right? So because dog training is all about how you communicate with your dog, that is one of our tools, right? That is the way that we mark that they have done the correct thing. It's how we communicate with them. So how did we get there, right? Where did the marking method come from? So has anybody ever heard of Pavlov's theory of multiple conditioning? Anybody? Yeah, awesome. My kind of people, a couple of nerds in the crowd, I love it. So for those of you who haven't heard of him, Pavlov was a scientist who conducted a study of his dogs. So the study was that he rang a bell every time he fed his dogs dinner. So over time, through consistency, eventually, when the dogs heard the sound of the bell, they would begin to drool, even if there was no food present, right? So that's because their brains associated the sound of the bell with food. So how do we use this in dog training, right? So I actually brought with me today to show you guys, this is a clicker. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen it. Clicker conditioning was a great thing. It was a tool that was used for decades in the dog training world, right? It's a great tool and it absolutely works. So it's just this little fidget toy with a button. You just click it. I don't know if anybody can hear that. So it's pretty much all it is. Oops. So, however, over recent years, the dog training world has been phasing these out, right? We don't need them anymore. Don't worry, I promise I'll pick it up. I need it for the next show. So we don't need it anymore because we've realized that we can replace it with the word yes, right? So there's a couple of advantages to that. The first one being that you now have one less item in your hands while you're training, right? Nobody wants to walk out of the door when you're leaving your house thinking, okay, phone, wallet, keys, clicker. Nope, forget about it. Phone, wallet, and keys. So the other biggest advantage to it, and the reason why we usually recommended here at DeSo K-9 Training is because you can use it to your advantage, right? Because dogs pick up on the fluctuation of your voice, right? Different changes in your tone, the way that you say things, and the way that you talk to them, right? Every dog loves when you baby talk them and hype them up and talk in a high-pitched voice. So we like to use that to our advantage, right? So how do we do that, right? So I'm going to give you guys an example of it. One of the things that we implement it with is when we're teaching a dog to down from a distance, right? So what is that? What's a down from a distance? So I'm going to show you guys, and then we'll talk about it, right? So I can't say her name because I realized when I was rehearsing that she will just come over to me. We don't want that. We want some space, right? So there's one directly in front of me right now who doesn't know I'm talking about her. I'm going to give her a down command, right? And hypothetically, she should down where she stands, right? She shouldn't come up to me. She should just down for us, right? So let's try that out and see what happens. Yes. All right. So she down where she stood, right? So how do we get there? So we get there by a couple of methods, right? So the first one being we use that tone of voice, right? So I'm sure a couple of you might go home and try this with your dogs, and almost always the thing that happens is if you create that space and you ask them for that down command, they almost always come up to you and will down at your feet, right? Because that's all they've ever known. Every time you've ever asked them for a down command, they were directly in front of you, so you accidentally conditioned them to do it in that spot, right? So the first time that you create that space, they are going to come up to you and down. When that happens, you're going to mark it with a very monotone yes, right? You're going to speak in your everyday, casual, normal tone of voice, right? And when you do that, you're still going to pay them, right? You're still going to reward them because they did what you asked of them. However, you're also going to implement this method called high value and low value, right? So a low value treat is any form of training treat that you can buy in a bag at PetSmart, right? You pull it right off the shelf and it comes in a bag. That is your low value treat. Whatever came to your mind is exactly what we're talking about. So the more that you do that, the more that you practice it, there's going to come a moment eventually where they down maybe a few steps away from you, right? It doesn't need to be much. You just want to celebrate all the small victories, right? So if you get them to be a few steps away from you, you're going to give them a very excited yes. And you're also going to pay them with a high-value treat, right? So a high-value treat can be any form of meat. So that can be, chicken to pork to turkey. It doesn't matter, right? Something high-value that your dog is very excited for. So then, when that moment happens, they're going to think to themselves, what did I do differently that time that got me paid better and made the human happier, right? The gears are going to start turning. They're going to start thinking about it and connecting the dots. And that's what we want, right? He's a little excited by the other dogs. Sorry, yes, I wrote on my hand. I'm a dog trainer, not a performer, guys. I'm totally owning it. I didn't plan on lying about it. Okay, all right.
So here we are with Hannah, who just did the dog training. She's from DeSo. Is it DeSo?
DeSo.
DeSo. I said it wrong. See, dog training. So I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. So how did you get started with dog training?
Okay, awesome. So my journey into dog training actually started about 4 years ago when we got our high drive German Shepherd Murphy. So what happened was we had gotten her from a breeder, and she actually ended up being an extremely sick puppy, right? Like vets were recommending to put her down at 3 months old. So it was constant vet visits, multiple times a week. So we spent the first year of her life nursing her back to health, which in turn we didn't get to socialize her properly. So what happened was she was extremely reactive. We couldn't take her out of the house. If we tried to bring her to a store, we were getting kicked out of PetSmart, kicked out of dog parks. So that's kind of where we started, right? And today we've obviously made enough progress that we're here at a busy dog park, able to put on a demonstration and show Murphy's success story.
Excellent. How long have you been doing this? How long has it been?
So just about since, I want to say I started my business back in April. Prior to that, so actually last year in 2021, I was deployed overseas, stationed in Kuwait. I did a little bit of time in Saudi Arabia, and what happened was when I came home, I decided to quit my 9-to-5 and chase my dream and do dog training full time. So I did apprentice with a master canine trainer down in Sandwich, Mass. That was for about 3 to 4 months, starting back in January. And then I decided to start my own business, and now I'm here today.
Awesome. I love stories like that. That's what I'm trying to highlight, actually, is the stories that people are, just good stories, chasing their dreams, doing what they love to do.
Yeah.
And you can tell you love what you do. You're really good at it, too, as evidenced by what we just saw. So tell me, first, another question. Is this a family business, or how many employees do you have?
So currently it is just me, but I do have a lot lot of family here today
You
who
have
is helping
family?
me out with this event.
All right, awesome.
She's lying. She's lying. She doesn't get paid. She doesn't get paid.
Well, she's a volunteer. That's good.
My family has been extremely supportive of this, and the hope is one day to down the road have a training building with employees and actually be able to have like paid employees.
Great. Now, so one last question, or maybe two, but what is the hardest dog you've had?
So I would say, so a couple or maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I did work with this one dog. He did our dedicated program, which is where we pick them up in the morning, we train with them during the day, and we drop them off in the afternoon. So it's very similar to a board and train, except we're not adding any added stress of their separation anxiety. They come home to you every afternoon. They always come home at 3 p.m. and then they're always usually really excited to see you. We make a lot more progress in training this way because we're not adding that separation anxiety and that stress of them missing home. But this specific case, I worked with this dog for a month long. It was a single mother with 3 children, and the dog had bit 2 of the younger children.
Oh boy.
So the dog was spending a lot of its time in the crate. It wasn't able to come out because she couldn't trust it around the children. By the end, after, even just 2 weeks of training with the dog, she was taking him to the beach with her family. So it was her, the dog, and the kids, and she was sending me videos of him off leash with a perfect recall around other dogs. It was amazing.
I love it. I love stories like that. That's great. And that's just proof of how good you are at what you do. So that's great. Okay, one last question. So how would people get a hold of you if they want to, ask you some questions about dog training? Do you have a website? Do you have a phone number?
So we do have a website. It is DeSo K-9 Training.com. We also have a Facebook page that you can contact us on, and then there is also my phone number, which is on all. I don't know if you want me to just say it.
Yeah, go ahead, and I'll take a look.
So you can always reach us at 508-493-3264.
All right. And thank you very much for your time. It's been wonderful spending time and watching you, and I think you're great at what you do. So if anybody has a need, DeSo, I said it right, correct? Right?
It's okay. It's okay.
All right. Dog training. And we're going to just take a quick look over here at what you got. Let's see.
Other workers here.
And the other workers, everybody in the back. All right. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful meeting you, and good luck with everything.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to sit back down.
So, we are here with Jodi-Lynn, a certified psychic medium, and we're here to talk to her a little bit about what she's doing, how long she's been doing it. So, Jodi, can you tell me a little bit about how long you've been doing this?
So I've been holding sessions for over 13 years, full-time. I do work internationally. I was tested for my accuracy. I want to say that happened in about 2015. I work out of Coventry, Rhode Island. What else do you need to?
Great. And how did you discover that you were psychic? Was there a certain time?
Oh, I was born with the ability. So my mom would tell you that it started like when I was an infant. We had a room in the house that was known to be haunted. So everybody else would avoid that room. I was colicky, so she used to stick me in that room. And I would be quiet and goo and gar and connect with things, and it just kind of stayed with me as I grew older and never really went away. I hid it for many, many, many years, obviously. There's a stigma that sometimes goes along with it.
Sure, yeah.
And then as I got older, sometimes you can't deny a pull because you need to do a job for people. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't hide it anymore, and that's what happened.
Great.
It's been full-time since I let it out.
Great. And so you've been kind of called to it. You feel like
Absolutely.
It's a calling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Great. And what was the most significant case you think you've had? The person that you've helped the most? Can you kind of pinpoint maybe one? I'm sure there's been many, but can you think of maybe one to just give us an example?
You know what? I really can't pick one because the stories that have come back to me over the years, people that like walk into my office and how they say things connected and how I help them through grief, because I work a lot with hospice and different situations too. Every story is important.
Everybody, yeah.
It is. I really can't pick and choose one or the other. You know, I'm very quiet. I'm a very humble person, so I've done like a lot of investigations. I've done murders. I've done all that, missing persons, and I keep it. Like I'm quiet. I'm very quiet. I teach myself.
Is there a way that you have to get rid of that energy, or is there any way that you feel?
I do a lot of meditations. I'm very protected. A lot of times people can't read me. They can't break through to get to know. My people are like, oh no, back it up. You're not going anywhere near her. So I miss out on that. I can't talk to my own in a sense because it's like a kind of protection. Because I can't help people through grief if I can just sit back and talk to my dad. I wouldn't be able to understand what you're going through.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I am jealous of people a lot of times that can sit down and have that conversation with their loved ones.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of miss that. I'm just very humbled and I'm very grateful.
Great.
To be able to do what I do.
Yeah, and it certainly is a gift.
Absolutely.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing, and I'm sure you've helped so many people through it. So one last question, pet communication. So we're here at the dog park. So let us talk about pet communication and how that works.
So to me, when I go to heaven, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
There is dogs everywhere. I love it. Missing the cats. We need some cats though. So pet communication. So that is one of the abilities that I kept to myself for a period of time. I would do it for certain people that knew that I could. Because I knew, oh no, you know, like, I don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah,
with people.
yeah.
So over the course of the years, just more and more people that have lost their pets. It hurts just as much when you lose a pet as you do a human. And sometimes, I mean, the grief is a lot harder when you lose a pet because you don't know what's going on. You don't have that communication.
Right.
So I do a lot of communication as far as when they cross over. But I also can connect with them if they're sitting in front of me as well. And a lot of times I'll pick up on little things, little quirky things that you might do that you're you know, hey mom, don't do that anymore, or stop messing with my bed kind of thing, or maybe there was a behavioral issue and why. Sometimes that's kind of very clear to me.
Right.
It's not just with dogs and cats. I mean, I've done it with horses, I've
Wow.
done it with chicken. It's just whatever they want me to pick up on, that's what I pick up on.
I'm sure my dog would have a lot to say.
Oh, great.
Complain about. I can hear it now.
Yeah.
I talk to her like a person,
Yeah,
you know, and she
absolutely.
gives me those eyes like, what are you talking about?
And she can understand you too. That's the funny part.
Yeah, and they're definitely part of our family.
Absolutely.
You know,
And that's why it is really important too, because grief can be just, you know, sometimes you might hear people, well, it's just a dog, or it's just a cat, it's just a hamster. You know,
but
no,
we make a connection with them.
absolutely. You know, so when you lose a fur baby, it can really hit hard. So to be able to help people with that too, it just makes me smile. 'Cause
That's a wonderful gift.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, I feel very lucky.
Yeah, I think you are.
I feel very blessed.
Yes, I would say that. I would definitely say that. So, where can people get a hold of you? I have your card in front of me, but
Yep.
can you give them a little bit of information verbally where they can get a hold of you? And you do also have a gift shop, so can you mention that too?
The gift shop is located in Coventry, Rhode Island. It's called the Mystic's Touch Gift Shop. My office is actually there as well. So you can get more information about me if you go to Jodi-Lynn.com. You can read all about the different sessions that I offer, the different things I'm involved in or events that we're having. So just check out the website and go there. It's cute. Cute little place. We love it.
Yeah, we definitely have to check it out. I'm
Very
definitely going to
tranquil.
check it out. Thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Thank you.
And
You're next.
And I'm next. Yes, I'm next. You can interview me next. I'm on board with that.
Absolutely.
All right, Jodi. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
So that's a wrap. Coastal Kate 401 at the Tiverton Dog Park. It has been a wonderful day, and we appreciate everybody that's come out. And hopefully you will come out and enjoy it too. Have a great day, everyone.